You've tuned in to the Bellingham Podcast for the week of January 17, 2021. This is episode 177. From that brisk city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barce.
And blowing hot air on my fingers, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, for all of those you listening right now who are maximalists and like a lot of clutter and like to dispose of a lot of things, just hit stop right now, because this episode is not for you. We're going to be talking about sustainable, minimal approaches to our life and our things. All that and more next on the Bellingham Podcast. You doing all right there, Chief?
Yeah. My windscreen came off my mic. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing just dandy, thank you. It's a little chilly where we're recording out of doors right now.
I know. Again, where are we at, Chris?
We are at Whatcom Falls Park in one of the other entrances that I was not aware of. But anyway, thanks to the direction there, Kimosabi. We are in a covered area, thanks be to the city for creating this thing. And I got to shoot straight with y'all, folks. If you're not in Bellingham right now around mid-January, the natives are starting to come out of hibernation. At the time of this recording, and we normally don't talk about when, the time frames in which we're recording, but it's Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Because, you got to sleep in every now and then. And on a 3-day weekend in which we give props to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for all of the great work that he did in getting civil rights to become a thing in this country. We want to give props. We're recording out of doors. And more people there's a lot of cars in this parking lot. Mm-hmm. They're on the trails. They're walking around. They're having their kiddos run around and expend some of that pent-up energy. And guess what? This just in, LaFine's Donuts has a waiting list of 10 people waiting outside his door.
Seriously.
Anyway, AJ, how the heck are you doing?
Doing well. Being here with you out and right next door to Whatcom Falls, which is where we're at,
yep.
And seeing all the locals, little kiddo swinging in a swing and, their mom with a mask and stuff. It's one of those things where, right now, one of the headlines, this isn't in the show notes, but one of the headlines is that, Bellingham, Whatcom County in general is on an uptick with COVID cases. Yep. So, if you're going to be out, mask up. I don't see a single person or kiddo right now that doesn't have a mask on, even in the outdoors. So, if you're going to do you, just do you safe.
And for those of you that are wearing masks, thanks for being considerate of others who might have other issues about themselves. Way to be a good community member.
Yeah, a good neighbor.
A good neighbor, mask yourself up. All right, let's go for it.
Okay, so Chris, I want to jump into something gleaning on your wrist.
Oh, snap.
You did not. So previously on the Bellingham Podcast, Chris teased a thing that he was going to get for himself for Christmas, and he did not tell me until we got to record. So I have been waiting on bated breath. What silver glint do I see on thy wrist?
I did, like I had talked about, it may be time to get a cousin to the SKX 007, which I've thoroughly enjoyed as my daily driver watch. Hey, Watch Fam, how's it going?
What's up, Watch Fam?
And so I did a whole lot of research, talked about a couple watch companies here and there, but, I have a vehicle that I'm blessed with in which every time I slide into the driver's seat, I smile. And where I have the lazy schlump of a push-button turn-on engine and things like that, I got all the creature comforts. I smile every time I'm looking at this beautiful Shinola Runwell 47 millimeter black face silver
steel case.
Thank you very much. Sapphire crystal AR 24 millimeter band NATO strap that I brought on there. Thanks very much, Time Concepts here in Bellingham, for putting on so I didn't scratch up the watch in efforts to try to MacGyver it in myself. I love this thing. And love is a strong word. I love my wife. I love my daughter. Love the people in Bellingham and Whatcom County. That includes you too, by the way, but I'm not going to get mushy. This watch brings a smile to my face whenever I say, what time is it? Oh, it's that, and it's just bold, and it kind of just speaks to me at this point. So Shinola Runwell threw down on a Swiss Rondo quartz movement, and all on a sesame seed bun, as I like to refer to it. So anyway, that's new for 2021, and giddy up.
Watch that caught my eye. Yeah, sorry,
right.
Just for the Watch Fam.
Well said. So you heard from one of our previous show listeners.
So on the last episode, I gave a shout out to a typewriter restoration company, and honestly, just a really cool Instagram account called the Colombo Collection.
Yes.
Well, Jennifer Colombo listened to the show and stuff, and she actually answered the question that you asked me that was not in the scripted notes, so I totally borked on the name. you had asked me if there was a typewriter that I could ascertain, sky was the limit. What would it be? And I said, I kind of stumbled because I couldn't remember. I said something along the lines of a ultralight portable typewriter from the era of early days of aviation.
And speaking of sky's the limit.
Yeah, right. So, and I thought it was called the Sky Chief. I couldn't remember. I could see it in my brain. I can still see it in my brain, but I couldn't remember, you putting me on the stick. Well, anyway, Jennifer Colombo, when she listened to the show, she chuckled and she sent me a message. She goes, quote, the SCM, which is the Smith Corona, which is also the same company of my typewriter that I use.
Right.
You're referring to in your podcast that you want is the Sky Writer, Riter. It's called an ultra portable. It's a fine for occasional correspondence, but not writing a book or anything. She had just painted one Ferrari Nero Black.
Oh, dear.
And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Thank you, Jennifer, for listening to the show.
Absolutely. The FNB, the Ferrari Nero Black.
Yeah.
Color me interested.
Seriously?
Swing.
But, and thanks for the background. Like I said, I've never typed on one, and I would want something that I could easily do more correspondence with. But it's just really cool that, there's a shout out on the show that from a listener.
And thanks for chiming in, Jennifer, and all of those you out there listening. Go check out Jennifer's Instagram site.
Yeah. So you can find her at the Colombo Collection on Instagram. So
let's get sustainable, shall we?
Yeah. So this episode, this is the quote, start off 2021 right. Chris and I wanted to kind of get a blender. Put it up here off on the table, okay? And with the frappuccino of this podcast that we're going to do, we're going to put a little bit of minimalism, maybe a jar or a quart or two of sustainability, and then maybe
hit frappe.
Hit frappe with luxury, lowercase L luxury.
Okay.
And we'll touch on that a bit. We're going to hit frappe. Ready? Okay. That's what this episode is. And what I want to start off with is starting off with what we probably all learned in grade school that has been kind of updated, and that's the recycling ecosystem.
Yes.
We all, at least my generation, elder millennials and older here, we learned it as reduce, reuse, recycle. And more, that's been changed to the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, repair, recycle.
Yes.
So moving forward in 2021, however your situation may be, look at things when we're talking about any of this stuff. By the way, all the products that we're going to talk about today, not endorsed, not sponsored, no coupon codes, no links in the show notes that we get a cut with in traditional Bellingham podcast fashion.
Yeah.
This is all stuff that Chris and I bought with our own cashola.
Yeah, and for the love of Big John Stud and Ken Patera,
drink! But when you look at anything in today's day and age, I'm also going to try to put this in the vein of how this concept of sustainable can save you money long term. And this goes right at the heart of the Bellingham podcast's notion of buy it for life.
Yeah.
If you can get something and take care of it, reuse it, you're reducing the impact of having to get something new every stinking time. If it breaks, if you can repair it, awesome. And then at the end of its life, if you can send it off and thank it for its service, as we say on the show,
yes,
you're fitting within the modality of the kind of the ecosystem of what this episode is doing. So
very good. So now, one of the things that we all have contended with is those wonderful little boxes that everything comes in.
Yes.
When we get the new-ish or even used product. Yep. And those companies that are selling us these things, they're getting more and more glamorous with the unboxing experience.
Oh, yes.
Can we stick a fork in that experience, please?
Please do. Why is that still a thing?
That's a good question.
Why is that still a thing? So, especially now, for a year, being remote and not going to stores, and I know that, merchants of all kinds are being impacted by the coronavirus. That notwithstanding, why is it that we have to pay for the elegance of the packaging? Okay. I implore you, dear manufacturers, okay, take a vein out of luxury, and I use that with the capital L. Look at some of the companies that are luxury brands and how they package their goods in an ethos that either A, brings you more utilitarianness from the packaging, as well as their brand and everything else. We see this with things like watches, and I'll get to that in a second. But this is also coming out right on the heels this last week. Why people hang on to iPhone packages. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, no, I still have boxes from the iPhone 5.
Right. So, and here's the thing. So when there was this huge debate that apparently a poll on some social network somewhere, I don't know, I don't care, people blew this up as like there is polarity of whether you keep the iPhone box or you dispose of the iPhone box.
It's one of those important, it tastes great, less filling, to use a commercial idiom from the 70s. Yeah.
Right.
This is really important.
So, and here's the thing, is a lot, I read some of the commentary on that poll. It's like, well, if you sell it secondhand, you can get better asking price. Chris, I've sold things secondhand with and without the Apple box. I did not get any more cashola from it.
I did not. And actually the box, depending on what device it is, requires an additional level up of shipping costs than if it was a slimmer shipping receptacle.
Right? So I also point this out. Whenever you get something serviced, okay, like an iPhone or an iPad, which you and I both had both serviced.
Yep.
Usually it gets shipped back to you. First of all, if you ship it out, most vendors will say, do not send original packaging. You will not get it back. The second thing is they send it back in the most svelte packaging, very origami style. And I ask myself, why isn't it just sold like this?
It hasn't caught on because we haven't seen the Kardashians glamorize sustainable packaging yet, or someone of an influencer doing this. It's all about the big bulky, look at the overhead high def, whatever camera it is nowadays on the YouTube 4K video in the unboxing experience.
But here's the thing, Chris. I'm going to throw Apple under the bus for this one because, Apple in their newest iteration of their whatever, they're not shipping cables and plugs, right? Because of green. Yet they are still using the full boat packaging of their branded box plus shipping it in a box. So Apple, if you're listening, which somebody of the show probably is at Apple.
If Apple knew what was good for them, they'd be listening to the Bellingham podcast. Let's not make any...
If you want to make a more green statement, if you're going to, walk the walk with not providing the e-waste, fine, then do away with the whole packaging that you have of like the device with whatever screen shot you've got on it on the front of it. We all know what it is. Just put it in a very highly recyclable, the shipping box itself. Notably, when you have a service box sent out, slap your logo on it and call it good.
Yep, I think that's a great idea. So you made another earlier comment, AJ, about watches and packaging and things like that. What's been going on in the watch fam?
So the reason why I want to point out luxury. So here's some high end stuff. So for instance, Oris watches, which is a Swiss company.
Oh yeah.
Oris watches made a watch that brought notice to the fact that we have like a whole bunch of microplastics in the ocean, and so the case back actually has plastic from the microplastics that are in the ocean, and it's actually made into the case back.
Okay.
The packaging of this is where this is cool. Watch, especially high-end luxury watches, anything luxury, usually comes in a big skookum box with a sesame seed bun with this huge presentation.
Mm-hmm.
They took it one step lower. And what they did is they made the same presentation of the watch box, but made it out of biodegradable algae. Algae, not algae.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So there's an example of that. Oak and Oscar, which is an American company who uses Swiss parts in their watches. I love this, and I swear, this is the type of utilitarianness that we need to bring to our packaging moving forward. Oak and Oscar, when you buy a watch from them, the Olmsted, or if you're buying the, I can't remember their other one that they have that I absolutely love with the 12-hour bezel, it ships in a box, that the shipping box, but the watch itself is packaged in a watch roll.
And they were using the same high quality products, Horween leather for their straps and all the other goodness that we've come to expect when we're actually using this stuff. But to get it from company to home, it's a different mechanism. And what a great way to be able to turn it on its head, to try something different, and to make headlines for using something in a unique way.
Right.
That's how you make a ruckus. Hi, Seth Godin. By doing something that is a little bit more countercultural or not expected, I think there could be a little bit of delight as those who may be getting a high-end timepiece, as they're flashing it on the wrist in parties, say, hey, that's a great watch. Oh, yeah. And oh, by the way, there's a biodegradable algae
box that it came with.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it came in a watch roll. But here's the thing. I'm going to flip this back to our tech conversation, okay? Technology inherently needs a case.
Yeah.
So why, in the case of Apple or HP or Dell or whomever, if you buy a laptop, instead of giving me a box, give me a 100% biodegradable or 100% repurposed plastic, whatever, sleeve that my laptop can go in that's protective, and then ship it in the shipping box.
Hey, guess what, Apple? There's a company out there called Pela, P-E-L-A. My daughter got me a case for my iPhone. It works just dandy. It's made of a whole lot of recyclable parts. It's pretty durable. What if you were to take a laptop case and work with Pela, or heck, acquire them, and to allow them to have cases, rubberized, high quality, et cetera, as a cover for your device that you're shipping to people.
Or a felt sleeve, those felt sleeves.
Oh, felt sleeves are tasty.
Or whatever, like repurpose. Again, like thinking in the concept of like, we have all this other waste, why not have companies use it within their packaging so that we can reuse it in different ways.
And to tie in locally, good on Bellingham restaurants for going with the biodegradable utensils and equipment. Hold that thought on utensils, but also how we're getting our food and other things that we all are getting when we're getting the hungry pangs. But to not have something that we're just simply tossing away. It's already happening in our convenience things. Let's get that lowercase L luxury as the next step.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So so the impact of this, right? So if you can recycle or biodegrade more, that means here money in your pocket. Here is how this type of lowercase L luxury, okay, that doesn't have a lot of added cost because they have to have packaging of some sort anyway. You get utilitarianness out of the added function. Just in general, anything that you use that you can recycle or biodegrade, you don't put in the garbage. How much is your garbage bill every month, Chris?
Well, it's a sizable amount, more than I would like to pay, but it's a necessity.
Right, but here's the thing: what if the waste that we create, okay, the plastic wrappings, etc. If we don't have that to start with, we don't have to pay it out. We're paying for packaging twice as a consumer.
Yep. And oh, by the way, make no mistake, the Bellingham podcast loves SSC.
Hey, SSC.
Sanitary Service Corporation Company. Yeah, the SSC sanitation waste extractor folks, we love you. And I look forward to those trucks inciting my dog in a barking riot. Exactly.
Yeah,
make no mistake, we love our garbage folks. But we don't want to put them out of a job, but maybe just less.
Know who else we love?
Who else do we love, AJ?
KMRE 102.3 FM.
Yeah, those wonderful community-powered folks on kmre.org, streaming all over the darn place.
Okay, so let's get into our TikTokiness. So in the notes, you mentioned here something about Source Zero.
Yes,
talk. I'm going to go to you because how can we transplant this concept here?
Absolutely. So I watch a little bit. I have only a few people that I support. YouTube channels that I subscribe to, and one of them is a YouTube vlogger. I may have mentioned her on the past. The YouTube vlogger is Simply by Christine. Christine is the goods, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't mention her. She is down in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. I believe in the San Jose area, actually. And fun fact, I used to live there when I was a little shaver.
Really?
So, yep, absolutely. Long story. Talk to me after 5 about that. Anyway, Christine has a great channel about minimalism and clean living and lowering your footprint in life and everything. But she works, at least for a while, during a number of her videos at this store in San Jose called The Source Zero. And I put a link in there for the specific reason that I want all of y'all listening to go swipe down in the show notes, tap Source Zero, and look at a company on your web browser that shows you what happens when you have bulk containers of liquid or materials that you can refill with your own container that you won't have to throw it away. Source Zero is San Jose's first zero waste shop and soap refill boutique. That's from the website, not my own words. They also sell locally made home goods from various women artisans based in the Bay Area. No, this is not a plug. No, I didn't get a lot of cashola from this. I just like watching the darn videos.
Awesome.
What a great concept. Bellingham, are you looking for a $1 billion business idea? How about taking one of these locations around our fine Hamlet, Bergville, whatever you have, and getting a refillable stuff.
The bulk section from Heck
on steroids, yeah. To be able to take a container and whether it's stainless steel, aluminum, glass, whatever have you, get the pump, get your shampoo or body wash, and which is like high quality stuff because Source Zero,
ethically sources stuff. Probably,
this will be a factor for those, and AJ and I do understand that there are those those who may have difficulties. But otherwise, it's a little bit of a premium price. But think about the trade-off of having a plastic thing that you're recycling or tossing or something like that. I just love the concept of it. And if I had the opportunity, dishwashing soap, shower soap, don't mix the two. That'll be bad for your skin. But anyway,
or your kitchen,
for that matter. Anyway, hashtag Silicon Valley Sustainable is in this shop. I think it was a great example, and their site is actually clean and a pleasure to actually navigate through. Because I'm not faced with a whole lot of ads. Oh wait, maybe that's the ad blockers that I have on my web browser.
Probably both.
Tick.
So here locally, how does this relate to Sustainable Connections? I mean, Bellingham does have something similar, or kind of, I guess, showcases the companies in the same vein as this, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we're talking about Bellingham, Sustainable Connections is a website full of events that are coming up. There's resources of stores around Bellingham and Whatcom County that are in that mindset of creating sustainability for us to live in and enjoy and consume. That's like, the starting point. Start here.
Yeah.
On the sustainability game of life. Do you want to go the waste route or do you want to go the sustainable route? You got a choice to make. Start with Sustainable Connections here in Bellingham. It's a great site and a lot of information that can propel you in a place that meets your needs.
So Chris, looking at how much time we've got left and how much products we've got listed.
Oh, we've got a lot of products of note to talk about.
I think we should dovetail down to maybe some quality assurance and
hit that intro,
and then I think we have another two-parter.
Yes, I think so. It's going to happen because that's how we roll, at least in the 2021. AJ, give us that intro.
So this next bit is my favorite bit of every show, and that is quality assurance. These picks are picked for you by AJ Barcet and Chris Powell for your quality assurance.
Hey, here we go. All right, I got something that has been very timely, if you will. Everyone wants to do something different in that R word that we're talking about in January that I'm not going to mention. But in some cases, a lot of people are looking to do a little bit less connection with their screens, as we've talked about, every episode on the Bellingham podcast. There is a site out there called a Data Detox Kit.
What?
It's a website that has a whole lot of resources. You could take simple steps. It's got a whole lot of ideas, like little boxes of do this, do this, do this. Okay. Simple steps to take control of your digital privacy, security, and well-being. Let me stop right there. Privacy and security. Ooh, that's the uber nerd tinfoil hat, guys in a black hooded sweatshirt with surrounded by computer monitors in the dark with a backlit keyboard. No. Privacy and security is for everybody. Full stop. As you are thinking about how you can avoid that conversation with your spouse, honey, we have $24 left in our checking account. What happened?
Yeah.
Here are some simple steps that can feel right for you to take. You don't need to go complete Marie Kondo and vamoose everything in your house to live like a monk or a monkette. But for example, ever thought about changing your device name?
Yeah.
Ever thought about clearing your location footprints from all of your travels around Bellingham and Whatcom County or wherever you're listening to us? Adding a second multi-factor authentication code to protect those sites with a tie to a credit card or a source of your financial house. These are some ideas in the Data Detox Kit that I think is really important for people just to check out and maybe implement. Just take one step. Don't go full on rabbit hole like I've done, where I'm creepy to many people when I talk about it in social gatherings. I scare a lot of people with some of the things of what I've done and what's available. But this is a great place to start. AJ. So
for me, I'm going to dovetail into more of the sustainability side of things because that's where I was coming with this episode. And that is, there's a YouTube channel by a gentleman by the name of Levi Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Now, Levi... I don't even know where to begin. One, he seems like a really cool dude. Two, he's Canadian, so and I guess he grew up on Vancouver Island, so he's practically a neighbor.
Hello from south of the border.
So Levi has been running this YouTube channel for a couple of years called Levi Save the World Hildebrand, and he basically makes the point that you don't have to be a superhero to save the world. And he brings on, kind of in the same vein as us, he brings on different products that he partners with or that he just throws his own cashola or has a belief in. and talks about how good or the pros and cons of using said product or positing it against something that is maybe a name brand. So for instance, in the Buy It for Life spectrum, he really has a jonesing for Patagonia, but he goes into the uber nerd of why like Patagonia Nano Puff is this huge recyclable soup to kitchen or soup to nuts ecosystem and why you pay that price for that thing. And he really breaks down cost of sustainability, kind of like what we did in the beginning of the show. If you can repair it, you get longevity out of it, it saves you money in your back pocket. If you don't have waste to start with, you don't have to pay for waste removal. If you can grow a couple of herbs, that's one extra thing for your health. So there's a lot of different avenues that he takes. Take a look at his YouTube channel. Link is in the show notes.
And drink, because I'm all out of references.
Out of a Klean Kanteen.
That's right. We'll talk about that one next episode.
But no, so there's just if you're going with your data detox or if you're just going for like a life detox and you kind of want to have a breath of fresh air of what you're buying or how you're buying it, take a look at these 2 picks from us.
Very cool. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up for this one first parter.
Yes, that wraps up for this first part edition of the Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us, wherever you like to get our podcast. Remember, if you are in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us over the air on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Hey, don't forget to use your turn signals if you're in the car listening to this. They are, if you're not in the car, all over the internet on kmre.org.
And on that crunchy granola note, I'm AJ Barsay.
Chomp chomp, I'm Chris Powell. Thanks very much for joining us on the Bellingham Podcast.
No, crunchy granola. We're kind of hippie this episode.
I do not subscribe to the hippie stuff. I shaved this morning.
Lowercase h? Hippie?
Not even,
or,
nope. Not even, I have 2 hips on my body, and that's about all the hip you're going to get from me.
That's good. That's good.